Hello and welcome along to one of the most picturesque sporting venues anywhere in Scotland. It's the Greenyards, the home of the Southern Knights, and tonight they'll be taking on Stirling Wolves in this FOSROC Super Series Sprint contest. A beautiful, picturesque evening here in Melrose. There's a glimpse of the North Eildon and the main stand at the Greenyard. Spectators filtering into the ground to watch this contest. Many of them electing to stay out with the main stand in the bright sunshine, which is beginning to cast longer shadows out there on the pitch. There is the home side this evening. They've made some changes from the initial squad which was announced yesterday, particularly in that back row with a rejig. Gary Young now playing at blindside flanker. In the open side it remains Jari Fantini, with Marcus Rhodes coming in at number 8. Alan Ferry will move in to replace Michael Badenhorst in the second row, and some interesting selections that Dale and I will chew over just before kick-off in that midfield as well. So the Southern Knights hoping to get back to winning ways with a victory over a very impressive Stirling Wolves team that have really been taking all that's gone before them. And there they are, a pretty settled bunch of players, and they're looking to do to the Southern Knights what they've been able to dish out to the likes of Heriots and Boroughmuir in recent weeks. Part of a enthralling contest that I watched just 6 days ago, when themselves and Boroughmuir racked up over 100 points in a thoroughly entertaining match in Edinburgh. A strong Stirling Wolves side, captained by Marcus Holden, who's been very reliable all season with the boot. Real threats on the wing, particularly Ross McKnight, who landed a hat-trick of tries in a home victory against Heriots and 2 straightforward scores in that victory 6 days ago against Boroughmuir. So there's certainly a team on form just now. Will the Southern Knights be able to hold them at bay? Time will tell. Kick-off is just in a couple of minutes' time, and alongside me to watch this one is Dale Clancy. And Dale is certainly talking up the form and the fortunes of the visiting side. This is going to be a tough ask for Scott White and his local boys this evening.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that, there's no alluding to the fact that the Southern Knights coming to this game as underdogs. Stirling Wolves were really impressive last season, and they've picked off exactly from where they left off last season with their successful campaign. So, there's a few changes. You alluded to there in the build-up there, Stuart, in terms of that midfield role. Brett playing 10 for the Knights, and there's arguably 3 playmakers in the starting lineup in the backs that could equally play that position. So I think the idea is to try and get all the ball players on the pitch, get this big Stirling Wolves pack moving about and try and tire them out and pick off the holes in defence.
Well, of course, this surface impeccable, excellent condition, and it has been a bright day in the Borders after what has been a relatively wet and very unsettled week across much of Scotland. The Stirling Wolves side are the first group of players out on the field of play. Mike Adamson, incidentally, is our match referee this evening, and he'll be alongside Sam O'Neill and Bob Nevins as the 3 officials. The Stirling Wolves side, there they are in their huddle. Their number 8, Ed Hastel, was the player of the match in that high-scoring victory over Boroughmuir Bears. 16 tries in all. And as a one-off game, now you could pick away at performances of both sides and say, was it weakness in defence at times? But when you go to a game and watch 16 tries over 100 points scored, Boroughmuir Bears playing their part, scoring about half a dozen themselves, I mean, it was a really good advert for this level.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that, I've always been an advocate for this level of rugby. It's brilliant to watch. It's open. There's a lot of good accuracy, but there's the error and innovation in there as well. And I think, alluding to Ed Hasdell, he was a player that perhaps was the catalyst of the successful end to the Stirling Wolves season last year in the Championship. And
of course the Knights have really struggled after a promising start in the competition when they contested that inaugural final back in 2021, 2021 rather, had a very good 2019-2020 season prior to, of course, it being abruptly coming to a halt because of the COVID pandemic. But in the last couple of years it has been a difficult time for them. There have been many changes on and off the park, as we get a glimpse there of our match referee Mike Adamson. And it's an opportunity for the Southern Knights, who are towards the foot of the table, Stirling. Looking to try and improve their fortunes as we go into, of course, the playoffs next weekend. So this is the last match for these sides in the regulation season. The Knights will get this match underway, and that is immediately gathered by Stirling Wolves. And of course their number 8, Ed Hasdell, who scored those 3 tries last weekend. It was a productive afternoon for the back row forward. Sean McDonald also landing 2 of his side's scores as well, on each side of half time. So the Knights looking to carry early. Chance for Davidson, recycle ball, back it goes to McNeish, the fullback, into his early 30s now. Of course had some success years back with Heriots, both in the Premiership and in the Cup competition. And Backy gets it once more, a flatter kick. Wolves have covered back in their 22. Kicking game rather early on. 3 back for the Knights, just along that 22. Changing the angle of the kick. That's a rather awkward couple of bounces and finds touch. That was watched and shepherded all the way by Mikey Heron. He often wears the 11 jersey but tends to play on that right wing. And Ross McKnight, the bulkier of the 2 wingers across, wearing 14 on the left.
Yeah, it was a bit of a scruffy kick there from Callum Grieve, who tried to clear his lines, but on this surface it's unpredictable at the best of times to figure out where the ball's going to bounce. But I think it's a little bit more of a spring in its step when it's trundling on this ground. So obviously just caught Mikey Heron off there, because it could have been a bit of a counter-attack on for the Wolves. Joe
Roberts with the throw-in. We're going to Beju, the 6'8" lock forward in from the start this evening. Lovely crossfield kick. McKnight is able to gather the ball in flight on towards his fullback there, Glenn Bryce, showing plenty of experience, mopping things up. The Wolves go once more, again looking to try and bring in James Pow, who's in that second row this evening. Of course, Pow, one of the vice captains of Wolves. Again, it comes through the hands of the hard-working half-back partnership of McGee and Jackson, and away goes McKnight. Now, he often scores down the wings, but this time it was down the heart of the pitch, inside the 22, and he scored 2 tries from relatively close quarters last weekend against Boroughmuir, receiving possession on the fringes of the 22. Well, that's very similar. Again, eating up ground, devouring ground, not really getting out of second gear, because by goodness me, he can shift, but he had space to run into there, and it was a relatively straightforward score, but very well constructed by a Southern Knights, by a Stirling Wolves side, I should say, against a Southern Knights defence who simply just could not live with the fluency of the visitors' attack.
Yeah, and the success, it makes the kick that much more simple for Marcus Holden as well, their captain. So a full complement of 7 points, but that man there, Ross McKnight, the crossfield kick at the start, it's a bit of a mismatch, but you can see, I did think when the open play, I thought there was maybe a little bit of crossing, but it was just that there was a gap there, and it was manipulated well by Holden. That little glance back inside is just able to pick off some of those lazy runners, and the players had committed to the tackle, so they were already committed to the contact. So it was good awareness from Ross McKnight, who started it with that crossfield kick. Great gather on that touchline side.
Mikey Heron going up to try and receive possession of the ball from the restart. But Mike Adamson identifying the knock-on as the ball was in flight, and the winger couldn't gather clean ball. So a set play, a scrummage for the Southern Knights, and they will have the put in just on the fringes of that Stirling Wolves 22. And I'd imagine that the Knights coaching staff would be looking for a tight opening to this contest, and when you concede such a score to a man on form, Ross McKnight, so early on, game plan changes almost immediately. But the focus now will be to try and get the next points on the board as they feed the ball into the scrum there. Callum Davidson drills his way around, ball's allowed to bounce there. Jockeying was Callum Grieve to try and keep eyes on the ball and control it with the hands there. Back it goes once more. Remember, it's Marcus Rhodes now wearing the number 8 jersey. It was originally going to be Glenn Young. That battle between Hasdell and Rhodes is going to be very interesting during the course of the evening. Davidson goes in again, has a look at the options. First receiver there, Rolly Brett. Perhaps unusual to see him wearing the fly half jersey. Penalty awarded to the Stirling Wolves, who brought a contingent of supporters down from Bridgehawk, and they win the penalty, and that's been well received by the visitors, who have a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, there's an absolute gigantic pack to try and run into. They look like they've got about 4 or 5 players that have to crouch down to clean the moss off the top of the roof in the grandstand. Like players in there like Oguntabiju. He's a towering effort. Hasdell's tall, and then you've got McKnight in there as well. So, when the Knights are getting the ball, they're going to find it really difficult to pick any holes in this Wolves defence. They look really conditioned, really strong, really physical in the contact area. And you can see there a bit of pressure for the Knights. They enjoy a little bit of ball, then all of a sudden they're just choked the life out of them, and they're kicked down the field, and now they're under pressure defending their own 22.
So Joe Roberts across. That's palm back though, so the Knights giving themselves an opportunity, but again trying to trap possession of the ball there. Alan Ferry was coming across inside his 22 under a bit of pressure. So the Knights have got possession of the ball, but they're looking for a clear. Jack Dobie, the loose head, trying to carry just a couple of metres there, come back. And again, Callum Davidson, route one, box kick, and that's allowed to bounce. Just comes off the camera stanchion, the foot of the stanchion just opposite the main stand.
It's a brilliant exit there from Davidson under pressure. It was the ball was squirming out pretty quickly, and he's not got a lot of protection at that breakdown, so he's done well to wrap his right leg round that to get it out of the 22 into a little bit of a wind here. It's kind of going across the pitch, but slightly more down towards the Eildon end here at the Greenyards. But it's a really good exit in terms of the pressure that he was under, but it just relieves the pressure temporarily.
Going to Bijou this time as one of the assisters not involved in the jumping, as Wolves again looking to regroup, and McGee immediately looking to get involved now. He's a finisher himself. We've seen him score once more against Heriots and Boroughmuir in recent weeks as they pick and go once again, jockeying for position, but just taking a deflection there. The referee had been playing a short period of advantage, so come back for the penalty just outside of that 22, and the Wolves continue to will have a stranglehold in the contest in the early stages. 7 minutes on the clock, Knights 0, Wolves 7, and Ross McKnight tries coming inside the first 4 minutes separating the sides. Bryce again towards the corner, and Stirling Wolves playing down towards that policeman's end in the first half, and once more Joe Roberts heads across and will look to be accurate with the throw.
Yeah, it was Rolly Brett, ironically, not rolling away at the breakdown, has offered this penalty up, and another chance for Wolves to put a bit of pressure on.
Once more they're able to execute, and Roberts goes in with the drive, but penalised on this occasion. The referee not satisfied with the completion of the line, and it gives the Southern Knights an opportunity just to take a breather from close to their own 5 metre line.
Yeah, the Wolves coaching team will be really disappointed with that there, because it's a golden area to put a little bit of pressure on and just really test. You can see the scrum beforehand, which was on the 22 in Stirling Wolves' own half. They had a squeeze on up front, and they'll be wanting to try and really test this Knights pack in that driving maul close towards the line. But a little bit of ill discipline, a little bit of mixing up of the choreography in the line out has meant that it's just turned over, and it gives the Knights a chance to chuck the ball into the line out and nudge their way up the field, because they've not had a lot of the ball so far in this game.
Finlay Scott this time, now 25 years old, will be throwing the ball in for the Knights. Movement again in the line. Abunti Bijou, I can see, has got a heavy strapping on that right leg there, but he was beaten to the ball this time by Alan Ferry. Davidson reaches in, launches the right-footed kick, carries the halfway in the 10. Taken there though by Marcus Heron, and across on that left-hand side, away goes once more Ross McKnight, up and over that 10 metre line, slowed up there by Jeremy Civil, who came across the outside centre. Flattish pass, but again the Wolves are able to gather and go once more. Holden trying to pull the strings in the midfield, cross-field kick now. Blindside runner is Mackenzie Duncan, who was a try scorer on his first start against Heriots back at Bridgehawk in mid-April, and he goes back into position there as he got the opportunity to have a run down this right-hand side. And Stirling Wolves continuing to be confident, playing an open, expansive game in attack.
Yeah, good covering there from Rolly Brett, getting in behind and being able just to sweep up, but just the pace of the attack of the Wolves, when they've got the ball, they're really keeping the tempo up and looking to play with a little bit of pace.
McDonald this time takes on his provider on towards outside centre, fending off 1, 2, 3 players, and Ryan Southern is in underneath the post for the second try inside the opening 10 minutes of the contest, and he did get into his full flow running there when he received possession of the ball. But round the corner, setting up the opportunity, was the open side flanker, Sean McDonald, a try scorer on 2 occasions last weekend. The pop pass, it worked its way out towards Ryan Southern, and he was in underneath the post in the blink of an eye, and it provides his centre partner, Marcus Holden, the captain of Stirling Wolves, with this second conversion opportunity inside 10 minutes. 12 points to nil, a couple of steps, little jink, strike of the ball, and there's 2 points to add to an impressive opening for the visitors, who are now 14-0 in front.
Yeah, Holden will be hoping all the tries are underneath the post. It'll do his percentages the world of good. But what great play there from the scrum half, shrugging off that tackle from Rolly Brett, and then just the direct run in there from Southern. When you've got a player, and they've been doing it a lot in this game, that close quarter run just towards that congested area with a lot of intent, a lot of purpose, and they're just breaking through because you've got a lot less time to react as a tackler when you're getting the ball in those close areas.
Taken on once again, Duncan up towards the halfway line, showing his power, but eventually brought to ground. McGee playing his part in that latest try, a longer kick, and Knights have got 2 players chasing back. One of them is Rolly Brett, and that ball played from hand again, just on the angle, coming back off the scaffold, and the assistant opposite the main stand with the raised flag on that 10-metre line. Another throw-in for Stirling Wolves, who are certainly going through the motions quite nicely, and the Southern Knights team really need to get into the groove. They've had a couple of set plays, scrummage opportunities in and around the Wolves 22, but no real forays deep into the visitors' half in this game so far.
Just not really enjoyed much time with the ball in hand at all. They've just been starved and strangled of any sort of possession. And good work there at the maul to get the hands in and rip it free. So good work there from the Knights. Then they've turned it over a couple of times as well. They've been able to get a big hand up at the line out, and in there you can see there's Stirling Wolves not protecting the ball well enough, so they're being able to just scoop it back, but just not able to build any sort of momentum in the game. And that's what this Wolves side have developed over the last couple of seasons, is that confidence in their own ability. You know, a lot of good talented young players, but a lot of experienced heads in there as well. And
we mentioned before Abunte Bijou with that heavy strapping on his around that right knee, and also can see a strapping on the left thigh, so maybe not jumping quite as freely for line-out ball as he has been in the past. But all credit there to the Knights for the way they were able to deal with that latest set piece.
I think the one on the left is for lifting, but the one on the right, I think you'll get a few signatures on that, because it certainly looks almost cast-like on the right leg.
It's substantial. Yeah, you could get a fair few with a ballpoint pen on that one, as the Knights looking to gain some ground, get up towards the halfway line, trailing by 14 points to nil with 13 minutes of the first half gone. The nudge on there, and again Alan Ferry was trying to gain some ground. They're spreading the ball out towards the left-hand side, but solid tackle made there by Craig Jackson. Back to go once more through the hands of Rolly Brett. You can see how high a defensive line the Stirling Wolves are organised and rushing forward just to try and close down any space that the Knights may have when they're trying to get possession of the ball, as they spread it from a central position out towards the right.
9, use it please.
Just on their 10 at the moment. Sun beginning to drop ever lower in the sky, but a thoroughly pleasant evening in Melrose as Davidson's box kick again carries the halfway line. Bryce in the air wins possession back for Wolves. That's launched forward. Knights have their fullback Gregor McNeish just on that 10, launches one forward. Again, that's a tantalising kick, gathered though by a player with a great deal of confidence just now, Kyle McGee, who started the FOSROC series back in 2019 as a Boroughmuir Bears player, but has really settled into his own as a member of the Stirling Wolves squad in more recent times. Again, a little bit of kick tennis played here. Rolly Brett after that one is able to gather at pace and launch it forward left-footed into some open plane. Bounces a few times into that 22, forces McGee back 5 metres from his own line, finds Bryce for the pass. Bryce time to weigh up the options. Back then on towards the second try scorer, Ryan Southern. Southern just forced into touch there as he was trying to wheel his way around Rolly Brett, who gets back to his feet. And this, I think, the first occasion, certainly first set play that the Knights have had in the Stirling Wolves 22 in the match so far, with almost 15 minutes gone. And it remains Knights 0, Wolves 14, but an attack for the home side.
Yeah, and I think you've got to applaud the Wolves' intent to attack from deep, but it means nothing if you only get up, to the stage that they've got. It's that kick from Brett that's put the pressure on. It's got them here, and it's his tackle on Heron, which has also given them this opportunity to knock at the Wolves' door.
Finlay Scott again, going longer with that line out. In he comes and looks to try and get possession back. With the ball tucked under the right arm, Davidson just in behind him. Brett to Davidson's right, so to Callum Grieve, the inside centre, but the forwards are doing all the work at the moment as they're drilling their way deeper inside that 22 up towards the 5 metre line. Just get a little bit more acceleration. Marcus Rhodes wearing the number 8 jersey right in the thick of it, but they slow up and then collapse just on that 5 metre line. And certainly the effort on the faces of those players is clear to see as they lift themselves, haul themselves off the deck, with the scoreline still Knights 0, Wolves 14, with just over 15 minutes of the first half gone. But they'll need more of this, Dale, in terms of just territory, possession of the ball and opportunities to eat into the advantage the Wolves have.
Yeah, it's got to be consistent, and they've got to pick the weak points in that maul, but they've had to work incredibly hard to get about 6 or 7 metres, and it takes a lot out of you, and it certainly, it gives you a little bit more confidence as a defending side as well, that you're able to thwart that attempt. So, the Knights are going to have to try and squeeze the Wolves up into this area of the park for a sustained period of time, to just put a little bit of pressure on, put a little bit of doubt in the players' minds, because I think at the moment the Wolves they're certainly looking really confident and controlled. Even just a little nudge at this scrum, just test them up front and just try and maybe knock them off balance slightly to get the upper hand, get a decision, and then take your opportunities when they're available.
Kyle McGee just patiently waiting to feed the ball into the scrum, 5 metres from his own line. 2 tries on the board then for this Stirling Wolves side, making the journey down to the Scottish borders. Of course, in the next fortnight, the Central Borders, Melrose in particular, home of the Borders Book Festival, will be a busy place with a lot of familiar names from the worlds of literature, from sport, from television, will be appearing at various talks just a stone's throw from where we are, the Georgian House, Harmony House. And almost get a glimpse of that as again the Knights look to tap and go and get up towards the line, and the referee raises the arm and signals the score is good, and the Knights peppering the line, their efforts coming good with a score. 17 minutes into the first half, Marcus Rhodes in as a late change at number 8, the try scorer, and that comes at a valuable time in this first half, because it was the first chance that they really had some meaningful and sustained possession of the ball inside that 22, and it's resulted in a try which the Knights will certainly hope will be a converted score and will have the Stirling Wolves advantage. We'll see what happens here from the kick as Callum Grieve has the ball placed on the tee. Grieve then, arms just in front of him as he rocks from back to front. Readies himself, gets into his running, and that seems to drift just over the very top of that right-hand post. So we're disappointed the accuracy wasn't a little bit more in tune with what his side were looking for there, because that's Southern Knights 5, Stirling Wolves 14, and 2 points coughed up perhaps, Dale. For a man of his skills, you'd expect him to have landed those 2 points. Yeah, if it was double points for getting it right over the post, well, he would have got it, but it was just to the wrong side. But yeah, just when we were saying before, obviously you're talking about the book festival, you could have written that, because we were speaking about the fact that Knights had to be down there, they had to exert a little bit of pressure and try and get a decision. They get the penalty, and you just seen it there, the power from Marcus Rhodes just being able just to find that weak point and squeeze himself over the line in between all the limbs that were in front of him. Gary Young taking the ball on from the restart up towards the edge of the 22. The try scorer Rhodes planting the ball back again, trying to gain some ground. They've won a penalty, so just on the edge of the 22. So the try alone will certainly lift confidence. One will help try to settle them into the match. Certainly didn't want it to become a runaway train.
Thank you. Okay, Stirling, just on the line, please.
A good clearance kick there from Callum Grieve, who's become an integral part of the Southern Knights side as well. You know, he mixes his positions up, goes into different areas. The try scorer there, Marcus Rhodes as well, just finding his position for this next passage of play. But you feel after 19 minutes now, the Knights have actually settled, and probably the nerves of playing a team like the Stirling Wolves, who are playing with a lot of confidence, getting good results. They're probably thinking, do you know what, actually we can mix it with them. If we're playing rugby in the right areas, it's just a matter of being smart and accurate, and they're enjoying a little bit more time with the ball in hand.
Yeah, accuracy and being clinical is all so important as the throw, and then again delivered by Finlay Scott, gets it back once more, gets into his running with the little offload on towards Callum Grieve, who's this time trying to gain some ground. Offload and taken on by Jack Dobie. Loose head prop up towards halfway. Davidson mopping up once more on towards Brett. 3 out on this left hand side. Knights over halfway once more. Davidson, Brett on there towards Runciman, the skipper. Davidson again. Inside centre is Callum Grieve. And he'll want another opportunity with the ball on the tee very shortly, I'd imagine, just to try and correct the disappointment of missing that conversion, as it's back towards Jack Dobie again. The loose head crashing into Wolves jerseys. Brett with the deft hands. Again over the ball this time, Fantini protecting possession. Davidson has it once more. Runciman, the skipper, makes a few valuable metres there, but is halted very quickly by the Wolves defence. Davidson again, more deliberately just takes his time, looking for a bit of movement, delivers a lengthier box kick. Bryce again, he's got some space to get through the gears, up to second, third gear. Oh, he's still going, up and over halfway, still has it. Eventually he's forced to deck there, but that was good work from the fullback. And again it's prodded forward, this time by Craig Jackson. Good distance. After it is Rolly Brett. He's got time to spin round and launch it left-footed in towards the front of the main stand, but doesn't find touch and can only find accelerating running of the Wolves players again. Take play back up towards that Knight's edge of 22. They look to recycle again. McGee will go in once more. Finds Holden. Options central, and they're gaining some ground again through those locked forwards. James Pow doing very well as they continue to work their way up towards that 5 metre line. Still they're going. Tamasitas, he was yellow carded a week ago and they missed him for those 10 minutes when he was in the sin bin. A huge, powerful tight head prop. 2 out on the left hand side. They've got a clean grounding there. The referee signalling the try was good. Rather Ryan Southern, who was out on the left hand side this time, scoring his second try of the evening. First underneath the post. The second, he was looking with intent on that left-hand side, but they were literally queuing up Dale to finish off that move, and that's a third try for the visitors.
There was about 2 minutes of that passage of play. The Southern Knights had the ball round about their own 10 metre line, and it was obvious every single phase that they were playing. You knew exactly who was going to be taking the ball. You think about that first passage of play where I think it was Callum Grieve came tight off of that wraparound from Finn Scott, and he was the only player that was going to get that ball, and every single passage of play after that looked like it was going that way. So if they went from the 10 metre line down back towards their 22, box kick over, which was gathered by Glenn Bryce in his own half, and then he makes it back towards the 10 metre line where that passage of play all started. So the Southern Knights from there are having to defend, they're having to defend for a long period of time, and eventually just a little bit of power, a little bit of accuracy and good awareness from Jackson to get them in good positions.
Holden's kick is an absolute beauty as well, because the first two straight in front of the sticks, that required a lot of concentration and accuracy from the boot, but he'll be delighted with that as we get to see the build up again. Now, Glenn Bryce played his part with an excellent run. I mean, there was But there we can see 3-4 opportunities to try and eventually bring him to the ground. By the time he did go to deck, he was able to offload towards McGee. It was played forward, that ranging kick from Jackson. The powerful running as well, just off camera there from Tamasitas, the tight head prop. And then the score eventually going to Ryan Southern, who's having one of those birthday nights. 24 minutes gone, a second try for him. But the Southern Knights are certainly back in Wolves 22 territory. And again, Haskell looking to try and provide some cover defence there. So too Joe Roberts with the tackle. Back it comes again, no. Knights looking to work it across towards the left-hand side. And again, you can see an opportunity for Brett. He's slowed up 5 metres from the line. Davidson comes across very quickly, looking to recycle ball. Taken on this time by Gary Young. He's tackled on the edge of the 5 metre line. They look to reverse once again as Ewan Greenlaw just off the bench and into the fray immediately, wearing 23 on this time towards the tight head prop of the Southern Knights, Callum Cruikshanks, and they're held up right there and forced backwards. Alan Ferry was at his full height there but just couldn't direct some real energy towards the line. Back it comes to Gary Young once more. Davidson squats down looking to receive possession of the ball and recycle quickly, which he does. The Knights certainly got the bit between their teeth just now as the floodlights come on around the Greenyards. Oh, a little bit of space for the inside centre to dance his way through, and it's Callum Grieve who scores a second try for Southern Knights to keep them very much in the coattails of Stirling Wolves at the moment. It's Knights 10, Wolves 21. Some fancy footwork there because it looked as if for all the world he would eventually be closed down, but credit to him, he found a way towards the line and he was across the line, clean grounding of the ball, and that's exactly the response that Scott White and the Knights coaching staff would be looking for. They're back in business. Knights 10, Wolves 21.
Yeah, I think good finish in there from Callum Grieve. The ball, eventually came to him after it squirmed out of the breakdown. So it was actually in that passage of play from the kickoff. He got the chance to add the extras, does just that. So he's a full complement of 7 points for the inside centre. But before that, every single carry was an absolute arm wrestle there. And you see the ball squirms out. The first bit time that defensive line of Stirling Wolves actually is not awaiting that confrontation. They've come up and they're expecting that physical carry, and it's not happening because it had to be played off the cuff. And for the first time, in that passage of play, the Knights have had to just be inventive. They've had to think, where is the hole in the defence? Callum Greaves found it because every single time before that was a physical confrontation that they were not winning. So, good finish in there from the inside centre.
Yeah, Gunter Bijou couldn't stop him, and then he was round the tight head prop, Tamasitas, and over for his opening try of the evening, which is converted. And Knights have possession of the ball once more, and it is with the aforementioned Grieve who launches the kick on the angle. 3 back now inside the Wolves half, and this is Glenn Bryce out towards the left-hand side again, bringing Jackson into play. Jackson on towards Ross McKnight, and I think there's always a sense where danger is in the air for the opposition when he gets off and running, but he was just maybe a little bit too close towards the touchline there. Knights protecting the line very well with men across on that far side, so no opportunity for Ross McKnight on this occasion to really get into his free-flowing running, and it remains Knights 12, Wolves 21, a thoroughly entertaining 28 minutes.
Yeah, it definitely has been. It's kind of ebbed and flowed in patches of this game. Knights coming back into it because, apart from those 2 opportunities where the Knights have been accurate inside of the Wolves 22, Wolves have looked pretty clinical at times, but, showing there's a little bit of porousness in that defence as well.
Marcus Rhodes doing very well to take the ball up, and the offload there just out of the side door. It was aimed for Fantini, but Fantini was almost too close to the ball to get any clean opportunity to gather the ball in. Ewan Greenlaw scampering after the possession as well. As the ball goes loose, the referee had already blown to penalise, and we'll resume the match with a set play just beyond that 10-metre line. And match referee Mike Adamson. We get to see this again, Dale.
See, this is where it's getting scrappy, and then you have to start to think about the team selection for the Knights. It's almost like they want this game to break free. They almost want it to be a little bit looser because, you're looking at the back line there that's now got Brett, Grieve, it's also got Greenlaw in there, you've got McNeish, at fullback you've got McVicker, who used to be a scrum half himself, can play a bit of 10. So there's players all across this park that are really good ball players. So it's the type of game that the Knights are wanting to play, but they've not been really afforded the opportunity thus far to really break free from their shackles and try and pick holes in defences.
Davidson, Brett has it now, just bypasses, able to find Greenlaw out on that right hand side is McVicker again looking to offload, which he does, and once more up towards the edge of the 22. They look to regroup, reset. Brett again on towards Alan Ferry, who's carried with some purpose on a few occasions now inside the Wolves half of the field, as he's really trying to get into the groove in the game. Dovey again, loose head carrying, short of the 22, but it comes back to the latest try scorer, Grieve. That was a floated pass, Fantini taking the ball as it was over the head of McKnight there. He's had some work to do, maybe had the heart in his mouth there if that was going to be a little bit short, but they still have it in the central once more. On then towards Gary Young, good passage of play this for the Knights as they're determined up towards the edge of the 22 once more. McVicker planted back, Davison has it, again on towards Grieve. Grieve then, tight head prop, Callum Cruikshank takes the ball into contact, back through the hands of the fullback McNeish. Offloading there towards Gary Young. Those in the back row are working well just at the moment for the Southern Knights, particularly going forward. But they're just looking once more for a bit of an end product. That was a good spin and turn there from Alan Ferry. Again, he's got the bit between his teeth at the moment as he's trying to lead from the front. Davidson, though, as he was reaching in to receive possession of the ball, realises the referee had whistled, raised the arm, penalising the Knights. And those Knights players in the white jerseys will get back to their feet. The electronic scoreboard showing that the Knights trail by 21 points to 12. And we've played half an hour of what's been a thoroughly entertaining contest here at the Greenyards. And the Wolves have another opportunity to get possession back into the Knights half as Glenn Bryce has the ball tucked under his left arm. There's just going to be a stoppage for one of the Wolves players to receive some treatment. It's their tight head prop who's back to his feet. He's a giant figure of a man, isn't he, Tamasitas?
Yeah, I've seen him play in a gala jersey and then obviously go up to Stirling Wolves, and he certainly does not look out of place amongst this really successful squad. But it's just they've got a really well conditioned front row, a good bit of squad depth as well, the Wolves, and he is one of those players that is in amongst it as well, but able to find touch, and it gives the Knights a chance to break free from inside their own half.
Yeah, McVicker did well watching the flight of the ball, keep that ball in play and launch forward there by McNeish. Juggled, but back now towards Bryce. Bryce again, willing to carry whenever given opportunity. Picked up once more by the ever hard-working scrum half there, Kyle McGee, out towards the left-hand side again, looking to set up a passage of play involving Holden and McKnight out on that left-hand side. But the referee, with outstretched right arm, no further attacking opportunity for the Wolves. But yes, just worth reminding viewers that of course Marius Tamasitas was a player just 3 miles down the road at Netherdale not so long ago.
Yeah, I do wonder if he's well, it does give you a little incentive when you're playing at a rival ground as well. Obviously there's still the Melrose branding across the stand here, and you know he'll be well versed in terms of the rivalry that was between those two Borders clubs. But he's been a great acquisition for the Stirling Wolves, played incredibly well. You know, sometimes been in and out of the squad, but such is the depth of that front row in the Stirling Wolves camp, and it's an area where, you know, if you get it right, and certainly at Super Series level, you know, you can really build a platform, and Stirling Wolves have been able to do that with successful players in behind them. You know, build that platform up front and get players like Sahasdal a platform to break free and try and do some damage.
Yeah, penalised Stirling Wolves at the scrum, and again the Knights in a hurry, not surprisingly, gaining some ground up and over the halfway line. Davison on towards Brett again, looking to set up Greenlaw. Greenlaw then up against the outside centre, Ryan Southern with his 2 tries so far in the half. Davidson mopping up once more. On then towards another try scorer, Callum Grieve. Again looking to work a position there, Alan Ferry up and just over the halfway line. Davidson back, Brett has it, 2 out on his right hand side. One of them caught in the tackle was Gary Young, playing, as we said, at blindside. He was originally going to be number 8 in the back row. Fantini tumbles to the ground, able to offload there towards Davidson, prodded forward. Bryce taken just from almost behind a position there that he was running into. but it's gathered now, and it's an opportunity for Callum Grieve. Flatter kick, but again, Stirling Wolves have got someone back. This time it's their standoff. Craig Jackson got plenty of time to spin round, just line up a right-footed kick. That's a safe touch finder, taking play down almost exactly on the halfway line opposite the main stand. As we reach 8:10 on a Friday evening, and the spectators that are watching this first half, a few glancing at their watches, can see we've got about 5 minutes of this first half left to play, and it remains Southern Knights 12, Stirling Wolves 21. 5 tries so far in the first half, and a chance again here for the Southern Knights and for Finlay Scott. Throwing the ball in towards the back of the line. A clean win there from Angus Runciman, the skipper. On again through the hands of the number 8, and it's now the midfield. McNeish full back out towards the right hand side, trying to track down the stand side and gaining the possession over that 10-metre line. Back to Greenlaw, just delaying the pass a little bit. On then towards Cruikshank. Cruikshank doing so well. On they go once more, and they look forward, and the captain, Runciman, galloping up 3 metres short of the line. Again, it's taken on by the scrum half, who positioned himself nicely, waited on Jack Dobie being the first receiver, and Dobie finishes off an excellent team try there for Southern Knights. Davidson again just positioned himself to continue the forward momentum of the move, and the man just to his immediate left hand side was the loose head prop, Jack Dobie, and Dobie was in for a score. And it has to be said, that was so easy and nigh from a Southern Knights point of view, and that's brought them right back into the contest. Knights 17, Wolves 21, and that's really been the pick of the bunch, certainly from the home side.
Oh, definitely that's been the pick of the bunch out of the lot. I think in isolation that's been the best try, and you know, we'll obviously be able to see it in the playback after the conversion attempt, but it was great work from their playmakers. Their playmakers are now asking questions because they know they're going to distribute, but they've got options outside them. That time it just opened up a huge chasm, you know, for Cruikshanks to, you know, to break through. And I've never seen somebody get the ball through their hands as quickly, but we'll be able to watch that back shortly after this conversion.
Callum Grieve then just going through that pre-kick routine of his. So he rocks back and forward. Here he goes then, no mistaking this time, similar to his first attempt, which just sailed across the top of the right hand post, but this time the accuracy, the radar was switched on, and it's Knights 19, Wolves 21. And here again the illustration, there's a captain playing his part, Runciman, and then very quickly in there's Davidson, and it bypassed Cruikshank on there towards Dobie, who continued his running. He came onto the ball at pace, and he was not going to be denied the try. Great
running by Runciman, powerful. Bryce got back well, but it's the pace that break, you know, the clear out of the breakdown, and Dobie's had a tremendous couple of weeks. Got a great try at Millbrae, almost won it here against Watsonians as well, as the ball's just trundled dead. But he's shown some glimpses, Dobie, in this championship, and he's almost a winger that's found just eat. He's got brilliant footwork, and he's very evasive with the ball in hand. So, you know, another good try to add to his tally.
And in many respects, it illustrates all the good points about a Knight side that have not been able to do that enough and consistently during the course of so many games. That's maybe why they find themselves in the position in the table where they are at the moment. But the Wolves now looking to hit back immediately. They've been stung by conceding that try. So 3 tries apiece. It's been 6 thoroughly enjoyable tries so far. Could there be another score before half-time? Brett mopping up there. He was aware of the threat of Ross McKnight coming trundling down that left-hand side there, trying to force Brett into touch. But again, Brett was certainly alert to the danger inside his 22, and Ross McKnight there just aware that the opportunity was so close for him, latching on to score. Remember, he got the opening try 3 minutes into the contest, 2 from Ryan Southern, but response scores coming from Marcus Rhodes, from Callum Grieve, and from Jack Dobie. And you see there, I mean, that's you can see the strength of Ross McKnight and his determination trying to force the fly half off the pitch there, but Greenlaw and co doing enough to slow him down.
Yeah, talk about slowing down, you know, from the penalty I would have been taking all the time in the world to get set at the line out, take the kick, but the Knights have went quickly, and it's going to be a pretty tetchy 1 minute left in the first half that they're going to have to really protect this ball.
60 seconds until the interval then, on a thoroughly pleasant evening in Melrose. 3 tries apiece, just 2 points separating the sides, and the Knights have possession of the ball again through Davidson inside their own 22 on that 15 channel, between the channels now, and the referee penalising the Knights. And yeah, they perhaps should have just maybe taken that little bit more care and attention there to eat up a few more valuable seconds. But the Wolves will be delighted that they've got this opportunity. And again, Marcus Holden having a good look at what's round about him just at the moment, as he does the obvious thing, kicks towards the corner, and this sets up another opportunity perhaps for the Wolves to add to their 2 point tally, to go into half-time with a greater margin.
Yeah, perhaps the players on the pitch, they don't benefit from the fact that there's not a clock at the Greenyards, so they have to keep asking the question to the match official. But that little time there just to control that ball, take their time with the penalty, but they've invited some pressure.
And it's taken on this time by James Pow, winning the ball, and the drive was very quickly on there. It's worked its way towards Sean McDonald, and McDonald, who scored 2 tries last weekend in that match, that enthralling victory against Boroughmuir Bears, was able to latch on to the work of the vice-captain James Pow, winning the ball in the line. It worked its way towards the blindside flanker. We get to see it again. There's the clean win of the ball. The drive was good at the back of the line there, and he was not required to take possession of the ball, was Roberts, after the clean throw in. And McDonald, well, the ball worked its way back. You can see him there crashing over. And that's an excellent score there from McDonald and from Stirling Wolves, and they've certainly made the Knights pay.
Yeah, I think back to about, I think there was a couple of minutes gone in the game, and Wolves weren't accurate from the line out. They weren't able to exert that pressure up front, and it shows you what kind of dominance they might have been able to have if they were accurate early on, because the scoreline's relatively close, and it's another excellent pinpoint conversion attempt there from Holden from the touchline. But I think the Knights there potentially have just invited and almost gifted Wolves 7 points at the end of the first half. That could be a crucial score in this game.
It could indeed. Well, it's significant in as much as it's the 4th try for Stirling Wolves, so they've got the 4 tries on the board by half-time. They've converted all 4 as well, but 7 tries in all, and certainly in the last 15-20 minutes of the contest, the second portion of that first half, the Knights coming into their own in an attacking sense, making it a thoroughly entertaining contest. There, as we were saying at the start of the programme, one of the most picturesque scenes in Scottish sport. The 2 of the 3 Eildon Hills in the background, the scoreline now in the foreground on the graphic, with Stirling Wolves leading by 28 points to 19 at the break. And I think those inside the Greenyard, certainly anyone who's a passive observer and would class themselves as a neutral, would be saying more of the same, please, in the second half. But both sides will want to brush up on aspects of their game, but they've made it a thoroughly entertaining contest at the interval, with the scoreline in favour of the visiting side, the on-form Wolves, leading by 28 points to 19 at the break. So let's take a look at some of these first half scores. And this 3 minutes into the first half, tidy footwork from Ross McKnight, a central position, the winger coming in, and 3 minutes into the first half, showing just his excellent form of late, Dale, with a fine try, taking the pass from his captain, again finding just a little chink in that Knights defence, and he was in for a score.
Yeah, and I think the Knights players are protesting that they thought there was a bit of crossing there, but there's options for every player. You know, you have to try and commit, and you can see that there that there's actually the captain, Angus Runciman, that went and he hinged himself, went into the tackle, and it was him that actually created the gap there for Ross McKnight. A bit of fortune for the winger, but it opened up because Runciman had committed to the tackle. Set
play, and the Knights immediately through Davidson on the charge here. Nice offload, and this time from a similar starting position, it was outside centre Ryan Southern who was in for the first of his 2 tries.
Yeah, great wraparound, good set play, but you can see here it's been a constant for the Wolves. He's probably seen it better on the wider shot that Southern is already pretty much up to top speed when the ball ends up in McGee's hands. You might be able to see it here, but the wraparound was brilliant, and then it ends up in the hands of McGee, and you'll see Southern just burst onto the scene. Is because he knows where the contact's going to be, he knows where the play's going to be going to, so he can fully commit to that run, and it pays dividends in the end.
So inside the opening 10 minutes, 14-0 in front. The Southern Knights were looking to respond. Now, this was their first meaningful phase of possession inside the 22 after a set play, a scrummage, and the tap and go from their number 8. And this was a good piece of finishing play here from Marcus Rhodes. It was originally going to be Gary Young that was starting at 8, but selection change by the coaching staff, and the tap and go running into Oguntabiju, and well, the collection of Wolves players just couldn't stop the Southern Knights number 8, and that came at an important time. They needed to respond at that stage, 14-0 down.
Yeah, they definitely did. They really needed to score at some point, and it was probably not the prettiest try, but they were able to really make it work, and then Stirling went back up the other end, and Clancy a great initial break. This came off after some persistent Knights pressure. They kicked the ball away, they gave it back to the Wolves, and they can then get the ball a little bit wider after Tamasitas made great ground in the middle. You'll see it better here. Great offload from Pau. Tamasitas gets the ball on the 22-metre line, and he's able to just shrug off 2. Then there's 3 challenges, 4 challenges, 5 challenges coming on there. Keeps the ball alive as well, keeps it well protected. The clear out's quick, and it means McGee can get the ball away from that breakdown pretty sharp. The gaps are there, even the bobble and bouncing ball didn't matter for Southern to squeeze into the corner.
Southern it was this time on that left-hand side, and if Southern hadn't been there, they had Ross McKnight outside, but there's the determination, hard work of the tight head prop, a giant figure of a man, as we mentioned. The other end, and the Knights again looking to stay very much in the coattails of Wolves, and a good bit of footwork here. Again, it was Oguntabiju, and this time it was Tamasitas that couldn't stop the inside centre Callum Grieve. We get to see this again as Grieve was able to pick the ball up from the scrum half Davidson, getting into his running, round the lock forward, then the tight head prop underneath the posts, and they really needed that score again. Yeah,
and as silly as this sounds, watch Davidson here, because when he grabs the ball he just shuffles his feet a little bit. Now the Wolves defence for about 10 phases before that, just as soon as the scrum half got the ball, they knew it was loading out, so they were coming up in defence and looking to really put pressure on. So even that little break, was enough just to dislodge the defence. But then this came on.
Yeah, and this is Angus Runciman at his free-flowing best there. The lock forward, the skipper playing a captain's part. Davidson again with the pass. This time Callum Cruikshank, the Knights tight head prop, was initially an option. Well, here he's carrying the ball. Now, he could well have finished things off, but it was actually his loose head front row partner who got hands on the ball and across the line and was awarded the score. You see again Cruikshank just almost overrunning the opportunity to finish it off there, but Jack Dovey was in behind, and Dovey finishing things off, and that set things up very nicely, because with the conversion it made it a 2-point game going into the closing stages.
Yeah, great footwork from Dovey there at the end. Great work from the start from Cruikshank, but as well to pick the hole in the defence. And then the Knights got a penalty. They had time on their side, but they coughed up a penalty, and then the easiest of it, probably driving mauls that you're going to see in Super Series was this one here from the Wolves. They were able to bring it down, and eventually ended up in the hands of Sean McDonald, who could just flop over the line. But this defensive effort from the Knights, it just nudged to the side and then crumbled. You can see Runciman's almost the sole player looking with his back you know, in the wrong area, digging his heels and trying to stop an onslaught from the black and red shirts of the Wolves, and they got a really important score on the cusp of half time.
So another free-flowing, high-scoring half in this competition at half-time. 7 tries spread between the two sides, and Stirling Wolves with those 4 tries on the board, leading by 28 points, 2:19 at the break. They, of course, in the Greenyards visiting changing rooms, and they'll be looking to, you know, keep up what has been an excellent showing in the competition so far. Just 1 defeat in the Sprint series, and you have to say that in the last 12 to 18 months they've arguably been the most improved side in the competition.
They definitely have. I think without a shadow of a doubt. I think you look at both of these sides and where they've been. You know, Wolves have slowly but surely improved over time, but the Southern Knights as well. You know, they've kind of completely dispersed after their opening stages of Super Series, and then just at this time they've started to re-galvanise, get back into some sort of form, and you know, it's just unfortunate that all the other teams are getting better as well. So, you know, but Stirling Wolves are definitely one of the informed sides in Super Series rugby.
Yeah, we'll take a short break then. The second half will get underway in just a couple of minutes' time. A reminder of that half-time score: Southern Knights 19, Stirling Wolves 28. More in a few minutes from the Greenyards. So Marcus Holden sprinting on to the Greenyards for the start of this second half. The Stirling Wolves skipper landing 4 conversions from his side's 4 first half tries. In conversation briefly there with Ross McKnight and Mikey Heron, the 2 wingers. They were out of the dressing room and onto the park pretty sharpish before kick-off. And once again, I'm sure they've used the half-time interval wisely, but they'll certainly know a little bit more, Dale, about the threat of this Southern Knights team, who have offered plenty going forward, certainly in that last 15-17 minutes of the first half, and they've really made it a contest.
Yeah, I think in the opening 10 minutes there was a big gulf in between these two sides, and I think almost the Knights were almost shell-shocked at the defensive kind of fortitude of this Wolves side. But eventually they started to grow, and players like Callum Grieve, you know, he's obviously got number 12 on his back this evening, but he's been filling in at first receiver. He's also been kind of playing out a little bit wider and linking up with some of the big ball carriers, likes of, you know, certainly one of the most important ones for the Southern Knights is Alan Ferry. And they're trying to get him in the wider channels, trying to get him in areas where he's going to do a bit of damage. But, you know, Stirling Wolves will know that they're in a game now. You know, there's not a lot between them. There's only 9 points. It probably should be closer. But certainly we're in for a good second half if the Knights can keep this sort of form up. And
of course the Knights, 1 win in the FOSROC Sprint Series so far prior to tonight's game. Stirling Wolves 2nd place in the table, looking for a 5th win from their 6th match. Of course this is the end of the regulation part of the competition before the playoffs next weekend. And match second half underway, so 40 minutes remaining. The floodlights coming on midway through that first half here. Sun setting around the Greenyards, and then Melrose as Bryce then takes that high up and under and does well facing his own post. He'll plant the ball back. McGee very quickly mopping up, finds Holden out towards McKnight. McKnight takes the ball into contact again. He's tackled there by McNeish. McNeish looking to roll away and get back to his feet. And that was good work there once again from Kyle McGee, who goes in once more, eager to find Jackson. With that passage of play, you can see that Archie Clark is on in the second half for Stirling Wolves, so they made a change in the bench with number 19 Archie Clark on. Back it comes once more to Jackson out the side door. Now an opportunity for Hasdall. Hasdall into his running, and the man who scored a hat-trick last weekend touches down to score the first try of this second half, and that coming 90 seconds into the second period. And again, he received the ball around the edge of the 22, getting into his running. He's a pretty pacey back row forward, and he doesn't pass up many opportunities when they're presented in such a fashion. So the crowd haven't had to wait too long for an 8th try to be scored in this contest. And Marcus Holden places the ball on the tee, looking to add the extras. But Wolves certainly coming out all focused in this second period.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a few glum faces in the Greenyard stand as well, because the offload from Craig Jackson was absolutely delicious into the path of Hasdall. And the number 8, he's a brilliant, powerful runner. But you'll see here, started well with Southern. He gets tackled, but he's able to get the ball back. You know, but good bit of length in his body position there. McGee was able to get down, but you watch this here, just a change of footwork, that delicate little offload to Hasdall, and then change of position of the ball. You know, Rolly Brett's coming across, he checks that, puts it into his left arm so he can fend as well and give himself a chance. So, you know, a lot of good basic things to look in there, but a soft little offload. And you watch here, Hasdall with the change of hand, make sure that he's covered himself and goes in for an opening score in the second half.
Restart kick was gathered by Glenn Bryce, and he's launched that one forward downfield. He'll maybe feel that he could have got that kick closer to the halfway line, but he's certainly landed one closer towards the 10.
5 man, lads, 5.
And ball boy now is able to find the Southern Knights hooker. He's going to throw the ball into this line out. Long loop throw towards the back of the line. Works its way back through the hands of Young, back row forward, taken on this time by Marcus Rhodes, one of the try scorers in the first half for the Knights. Now Greenlaw trying to eat up some ground and get closer towards the 22. Hasdall involved in the tackle, so too Joe Roberts, who gets back to his feet, back towards McNeish, finds Brett, 3 out on that left hand side, taken on there by Ethan McVicker. He's floored, but again the Knights have Davidson coming racing across to find Brett. Momentum perhaps dropped just ever so slightly there as Dan Gamble is on as a replacement prop forward, and it's taken on this time by the loose head prop there, another try scorer, Jack Dobie, in that first half. Once again, played rather cute there under the legs by Alan Ferry, just to keep in possession of the ball there for the Southern Knights. And just on the edge of the 10-metre line, once more the look again to bring in Harry Morris, who we got a glimpse of throwing the ball into the Southern Knights line out just a short time ago. But Hasdall with the steal on towards Holden, out towards the left hand side. McKnight now getting into his open running. McKnight round the corner. McKnight's not going to be caught, and he was able to wheel his way around Southern Knights defence there. The midfield were caught out on that Stirling Wolves left hand side, in for the score. And the Knights, well, it's been a disappointing opening period of this second half, as they've conceded 2 quick fire tries in the opening 5 minutes, and Stirling Wolves have suddenly opened up a handsome advantage, 40 points to 19 with the kick to come.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the build up to that from the Knights, it was initially pretty good, you know, using players like Gamble to try and truck it up. Morris as well, who I thought he took a quite high one. But obviously he was just slung back, he could present the ball and the momentum kept going, but there was a bit of a loose pass there from Rolly Brett, which Hasdall gathered, was able to lob it back in field, and there was only one option, and it was to get the ball quickly onto the wing into a bit of space where the holes were going to be for McKnight to try and exploit. And then, you know, we'll see it back, but when you look at McKnight, you think he's going to power through the middle, but he just shows blistering pace as well against some players who are pretty pacey too. And I think the magnet of that right post strikes again.
It does, this time affecting Marcus Holden, and his 100% record from the tee ends with that try. But the second score for the Knights, for the Stirling Wolves in the second half, as we get to see it again, and there he's already opened up into his running, round the corner, in for another score. and suddenly it's back to the Southern Knights going mountain climbing to try and claw back this advantage that has been opened up with that try just before half time, and then those two quick-fire scores at the start of this second period. Wolves go in once again, looking at Kyle McGee to perhaps deliver a box kick, rolling the ball with the studs of the right boot. And see the graphic on the screen as well, just updating you on some changes that we mentioned there at half time. Both sides making some changes to personnel as Marcus Rhodes up towards the halfway line, and the Knights certainly will want the next score in the contest, because they've been able to work their way back into the game on one occasion. They'll need to do that again if they've got aspirations and hopes of getting something out of tonight's match. Still looking for just a second win of the competition.
It's amazing what a couple of scores can do, just to turn the tide and the complexion of a game, because Knights have been in this, and then two quick-fire scores, you know, they're almost double the tally away. Well, they're more than double the tally away, and it's, you know, it puts a bit of gloss on the scoreline for the Wolves.
And of course that try as well just before half-time for Stirling Wolves would change the complexion somewhat of the half-time conversation, certainly for those in the Knights dressing room at the interval, as McNeish now flatter kick downfield, bounces a couple of times on towards Glenn Bryce, takes a few steps forward and then pings one forward, a rather flatter grubber kick. Knights keen to get on with things, not surprisingly. Brett, on they go once more, played forward by Callum Grieve from hand, on the edge of the 22, Jackson, time and space, McKnight down the heart of the pitch again, weighing up what's in front of him, nice little offload. Moves up towards halfway. McGee over the ball again. Box kick down that 5 channel on the left-hand side. McKnight giving chase. Brett's under a bit of pressure, and he was able to guide the ball as it worked its way over into the end goal area. And the referee just following the pace of the ball there. So it will be an opportunity for the Knights from just their own in goal area to clear.
You just look here at Brett running back. He almost looked too casual and realised there was a bit of pressure on him. I don't know, and the grounding of the ball as well was dubious, but he was able to get it down. But Ross McKnight was waiting there. You know, him and Southern both chasing down a hat-trick as well.
Goal line dropout, and it's back now with Ed Hasnell, who did get 3 last weekend, 1 in the second half, picked up again by McGee, on towards Jackson, Holden, now on towards Southern, could well be on for a hat-trick. Greenlaw just trying to try and slow him up there as Bryce goes in once more as well, over the ball at the moment. McGee on then towards Liam Quorn, tight head, the proper loose head of what very hard for this Stirling Wolves side, building phases and phases for the backs to finish off, but the forwards have played their part. Samasitis again trying to gain some ground inside that Knights 22. Floated angle kick from Jackson, ball bounces once just over the head there off the number 8, who was across on the far side, got the outstretched arms there, and Hasnell was seeking an opportunity to perhaps score a second try in that right hand corner this time.
Yeah, and again, it's just the ability to be able to change what the attack is going to be, and Craig Jackson's got a great ability to do that. Obviously very tight there from Hasdell. He almost looked like he was still on the pitch when he flapped it back in, but you know, Craig Jackson, when he travels with the ball in 2 hands, he's able to, you know, ghost it from a passing position to his boot in the blink of an eye, which keeps defences guessing, and it almost paid off there for the Stirling Wolves fly half. Almost found Hasdell. But this is a big pressure line out again for the Knights.
10 minutes of the second half gone. Defensive throw in, ball's going loose, and they've got to get possession of the ball here. And Brett was again scurrying to at least get his body onto the ball there to protect what was a rather precarious position from that line out there, as the untidy nature of the line out had the fly half scrambling to try and secure possession of the ball there. You see it was aimed for Alan Ferry, and Brett had to be quick of his feet there.
Yeah, Clark got up well at the line out for Wolves, which meant that, you know, there had to be a pretty strong hand back from the Knights to get the ball on their side, because it was well contested, but it was maybe just a little bit too much on it. McVicker was loitering round the back, but the bounce of the ball just evaded him, so he was fortunate that Rolly Brett was in there to dot it down again. A couple of dot downs in a couple of minutes, just the wrong end of the pitch for the Knights fly half.
But a first glimpse of Eric Davey, who's on at number 9, wearing 21, as Hasdall trying to work it round the corner, and again the Wolves trying to find a way on that right hand side to finish things off. Hasdall over the ball at the moment, again on towards Tamasitis. Tight head prop, but there's plenty of white jerseys around the danger man, and again Davey looking to try and create an opportunity. The scrum half, Eric Davey on for Kyle McGee. For this second period is more than a useful player to have in your ranks to come on in the second half, and we've seen him start contests as well, as the arm has been raised by our match referee Mike Adamson.
When I blow the whistle, let the ball go. You must stay on your feet.
Still dominating this spell of the match, coming out of the blocks, clinical at the start of the second half, just adding to that all-important try-bonus score at the end of the first half, and they're racking up the scores now, leading by 40 points to 19, and that's 6 tries they've managed to accrue so far in the contest.
Yeah, with players on the bench that can do a bit of damage as well, so you wouldn't, you wouldn't bet against the fact that the Wolves could rack up a few more tries, but likewise, the Knights, we've seen them in spells in this game where they've looked like they're going to be absolutely pummeled, by this Wolves pack, but they've been able to get up the other end and score some pretty impressive tries, if not one of the most impressive tries of this evening. So both sides certainly know the way at the try line, but the Wolves enjoying a sustained bit of pressure at the right side of the pitch from their side with a nice attacking line-out.
Yeah, certainly Jack Dobie will enjoy watching that score of his again at some point in the future, as Wolves again winning ball in the line-out, but penalised as they were driving themselves towards that Knights line. Infringement in the line, no. And it just provides that an opportunity for the home side to clear, as Marcus Holden has a quick exchange with the referee, Mikey Adamson.
I love the enthusiasm from the Knights forwards there, because they got a decision which pretty much they had little control of. It was I think it was Wolves that were closing the gap, so they were applauding it with great enthusiasm. But it's just one of those little errors there from Wolves, and you get people to see it here again when it's thrown into the line out just at the front there. Pow just starts to drift across and close that gap, so the referee signalling there that there's a bit of crossing. I think it's crossing actually at that driving maul, just going in front and just infringing, so not able to allow the Knights to attack that driving maul. So will result in a replacement, Adam Hall, on for the Southern Knights as well.
So they have the throw in now, as Harry Morris throws the ball in towards the back of the line here. Dan Gamble was just at the back of the line, and the white jerseyed Knights players on the park, just on the edge of their 22 just now, and looking to try and make some inroads downfield.
9, use it please.
Callum Davison looking just for a little bit of room to launch the kick forward. This attempted charge down is so often we see carried out, but to no effect on this occasion for the Wolves. Brights is tackled well, but it's back now towards McKnight. McKnight again just fending off players with some ease, but then runs into a different proposition there in the form of Alan Ferry, as Stirling Wolves were able to work the ball out towards that left-hand side, but getting no opportunity to get a bit closer than the edge of the 22 on this occasion. But you can see there the strength of Wolves, but the determination of the Knights, and good work then from the outside centre. Yeah,
good work to get back, because he was fended off. It was McKnight who was going down the pitch, and he fended off Civil as if he was like a wet plaster on his hand, because he was just able to just shake him off. But the number 13 was able to get across pretty well just to make that second challenge on his opposite man, Ryan Southern, squeeze him out off the field of play. I mean that we've got another line out here. Harry Morris hasn't really been too convincing with his throw-ins to the line out. One just went a little bit long, was gathered by Gamble. The first one was pretty low, so he'll be hoping to try and hit his target here.
And he does, and that good execution there, because he was able to find Alan Ferry on this central position between the 10 and 22. Results in a penalty going to Southern Knights, as they have a replacement on as well. Can see Ross Wolfendine is on the park wearing number 21. So a chance again from a central position to kick downfield, take play back into the Stirling Wolves half of the field. 15 minutes of this second half gone, and after conceding 2 tries in the opening 5 minutes, it's been a, let's say, a more stable 10 for the Knights.
It definitely has, and speaking of a stable 10, you're going to have a stable 10 now, because Wolfenden is an out-and-out 10, young fly half, came from Peebles a couple of weeks ago. He took a big clatter against Quagga Van Niekerk in the game against the Watsonians, and you know, it looked quite ominous for the young fly half, but it's good to see him recovered pretty well back out in the field, because he's a really promising young Scottish rugby player at the fly half position. So good to see what he can bring to this game.
So and then for the Knights, again, better execution all round, with Morris's throw accurate, and they're able to get some pace injected. Davidson scurrying over to try and recycle ball, and taken on again in open play this time by Morris, up towards that 10-metre line. Davidson, there's the aforementioned Wolfendine as well, with a pass out towards that left-hand channel between the 5 and 15. Wolfendine has it again, on towards Gamble, another replacement in the second half. Davidson glances to the right but finds Wolfendine on the left. Still is going up and beyond that 10-metre line, and again the tackle is made by Joe Roberts as it's recycled ball, and once again mopped up by the Knights. Flatter pass, and that's taken on nicely there by Alan Ferry. Almost lost his balance but was able to gain valuable metres up towards the 22. Good prod through there from Grieve, who was under pressure. Is back towards Bryce, mopping up inside his own 22, and Bryce still has possession of the ball. Remember, the Stirling Wolves side have six tries on the board, and Southern Knights, with those 3 first half scores, looking to add to their tally after conceding 1 just before half time and 2 at the early period of the second half. So it's the Knights 19, Wolves 40 as we approach the end of the third quarter. 2.5 minutes until the hour mark.
Okay, Stirling, keep the space, please.
Yeah, I think you can see that the introduction, they've got 2 real playmakers there looking to try and split the field through Wolfenden and Grieve, and that ball, which is a lot flatter, is starting to ask some questions. And that last ball from Grieve, which was delivered into the path of Ferry, you know, did find a gap in that Wolves defence. So, you know, Knights are going to have to score pretty quickly to find any chance to get back into this game realistically, but obviously glimpses of some better bits in their play.
Yeah, Morris, well, again, Knights had hands on the ball there but couldn't get a clean grasp of the ball. Forces Knights to go back there, and Sybil inside his 22 was able to turn round, launch a kick downfield to at least take play up outside of the 22 at Stirling Wolves. Taking their time here. Joe Roberts asking for the towel, and then he's going in search of teammates to discuss some tactics ahead of this throw-in. So obviously something, as is always the way of the training ground, will have been discussed, and an opportunity here. So this throw-in from between the 10 and the 22 on this Stirling Wolves left hand side as we approach the midway point in this second half. 58.5 minutes gone.
So you got 5, is it?
Doesn't look like Rhodes is going to be going off. He's getting escorted. He's got a slight little limp on that. Perhaps the right leg of his.
Yeah, just send him on.
Yeah, sucks around the ankles there. You can see the number 8, Marcus Rhodes. On the original team sheet selection, he was going to be one of the players on the bench. Marcus Brogan was drafted in. William Ferry, though, is now on. I got a first glimpse of William Ferry this evening, so he's thrust into the fray with almost an hour on the clock. And further changes as well. There is Jack Dovey. So 2 of the Southern Knights first half try scorers have been replaced. Angus McGregor brought forward with the fresh legs on for the remaining period of this half. Little exchange, 1-2. Hasdell looking to really get himself involved in the second half after opening the second half, scoring 90 seconds into the second period. And again, Wolves trying to swarm around this Southern Knights defence on the fringes of the Knights 22. Passage of play, players just appearing and popping up in menacing fashion here, as again they're able to link up perfectly, and that's an excellent score there. Eric Davey, the replacement scrum half, coming on to a fine bit of work there from Ryan Southern. Southern, who would have been on a hat-trick if he'd landed the blow himself, but he takes the congratulations off Eric Davey, and Davey will be delighted to have scored the 5 points because he's made quite a contribution since coming off the bench himself as a second half replacement. And again, just so clinical how the Stirling Wolves side seem to be going through the passages of playing up players the right place at the right time, just that little bit quicker than the Southern Knights players.
Yeah, and I think that's what
setups quicker.
Yeah, and that's what Davey brings to you at the breakdown as well. You know, he's a 9 who likes to get the ball away pretty sharp. He's abrasive, but he's electric behind that, you know, that breakdown. And there it almost looked like Knights had started to get the upper hand, you know, at that contact area. It was a huge physical collision, and that's at that point where the game gets a little bit fragmented slightly, you know, and teams can capitalise, and players like Southern, who just likes to blister through with pace, was able to, you know, exploit a hole in the defence and give a chance for this conversion after the try.
And it's another successful 2 points, so Knights 19, Wolves 47. As we get to see the score again, just on the edge of the 22, the pick up from Southern, the determination, and again it was a one-on-one situation opening up, but he had Davey in the right place to finish it off. Yeah,
and it's that there, it's the attempted jackal at the breakdown from Ferry. He's not able to gather the ball cleanly, so it then scrambles forward, and Southern just alert, he just scoops it up, and you know, players are already set for the next passage of play. They're expecting an onslaught, never came, but here we are with the Knights back in the attack.
Knights then again, Greenlaw with a passage of play out towards Civil. The two centres, Grieve and Civil, linking up back towards Davidson, through the hands then of Adam Hall. So the Knights have almost emptied their bench because Wolfendine there have got another touch of the ball's been on for about 5 minutes now as a more recognised fly half. But a rare knock-on in the game. The handling's been by and large pretty good on what has been a dry and calm evening at the Greenyards, but on this occasion that forces the referee to intervene. So play will resume with a set play midway inside the Knights half of the Wolves half of the field.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, a lot of those small margins, and when you're getting over the gain line or breaking through defences, is when you're running so close to that contact area, and you can see that the Wolves are doing it really, really well, and Harry Morris is trying to do that there off Wolfenden, trying to get on his shoulder and really burst through, but he's perhaps just half a step, you know, too far forward, which means that, you know, he's really got to check his run, he's really got to think about gathering that ball, and you know, when he's in behind, it's sometimes a little bit easier to defend. But it was certainly really good play from build-up play from the Knights. But again, just the Wolves' defence, although it's been slightly porous in the second half, you know, they've not conceded a point, and I think there'll be a conversation about that at half-time in terms of if they're going to have to go to win this game, they'll certainly have to defend a lot better than they did in the first.
Just taking the time over the set play, Davey then feeding the ball into the scrum, works his way around into his full accelerated running, then feeds it on towards Bryce, and Bryce is away. Bryce looking for the offload, and again they're able to find fresh legs off the bench, and it's Fergus Reid who's in for the score. There he is, he's barely been on the pitch, we've hardly been able to give him a mention since coming off the bench. He takes the congratulations of his teammates, but a wonderful Stirling Wolves score to take them beyond the 50-point mark. There he breaks into a smile, and quite rightly so as well, because he had plenty of work to do when he received possession of the ball there, but that was set down to just alternating tactics from the back of the scrum, with the scrum half and the previous latest try scorer Eric Davey wheeling his way around and then releasing Glenn Bryce, who injected some serious pace as they attacked that Southern Knights half of the field, and it ultimately ended up in the hands of Fergus Reid, who scored their latest try, 52-19 with the kick to come. And we're watching now Ewan Cunningham, who started last weekend's victory at Meggetland, glancing up at the posts down at the ball. He was the starting fly half last weekend, 6 days ago, and he's got the radar switched on there to add the extra 2 points. 54 points to 19 the scoreline.
Yeah, they've been relentless in the second half, the Wolves, but great play. Davies able just to stretch that defence. Ferry can't get across enough. Wolfenden is checked, he's stuck on his man, which means Bryce can get through that gap, and then that covering support from the back row forwards coming through with Fergus Reid was impeccable there, and it's just that gap that was created by Wolfenden being committed meant that Glenn Bryce could get in behind and opened up that gap. Great covering support and play there from Fergus Reid to get that try, but again, it's the stretch of that off the back of that scrum from Davey, which resulted in Wolfenden having to check in and create that gap, which Bryce then exploited and was able to pick off.
Well, away from home 6 days ago, Stirling Wolves scored 64 points at Meggetland. They've now 54 points at the Greenyards, and Southern Knights, as I said, certainly made a contest of it in that first half, particularly the closing 15 minutes of the first half, when at one stage they were back to within 2 points. Here's an attacking line out for the home side, and how they would enjoy a fourth try at the moment if it would be nothing more than scant consolation, but it would be a 4-try bonus for them from the line out. Again, they're looking to try and engineer an opening. They've got some muscle in there now, they've got the drive on. Many of the Wolves players are over their own line. The referee looking to raise the arm, and he does. And it looks as if it's one of the replacements. It could well be Harry Morris. I think it is Morris who threw the ball in. So it's a classic try from close quarters from the hooker, throwing the ball in. And Harry Morris, well, again, takes the congratulations of his teammates. We'll applaud the efforts there. But that was just sheer Southern Knights beef making the difference, and there was no response on this occasion from Stirling Wolves.
I don't think I could have described that any better myself. Certainly was Southern Knights beef there, because it was just the pressure, the power, and especially when you've got some fresher front row coming on, they can inject that sort of physical prowess on that drive forward. Just able to pick off that weak point, but Morris getting a really good try, protecting the ball well, because it's not easy in there, in that congested area with the line beckoning. You know, it's easy for the arms to get underneath to dislodge the ball, but it was a great finish there from the replacement hooker.
Just under 14 minutes to go. 24 points to 54 the scoreline. Grieve has managed to land a beauty, and Grieve adding a further 2 points then for the Southern Knights, who certainly have been playing second fiddle to a Stirling Wolves side for much of this second half. But we get to see the score once more again. The reinforcements coming in there. Adam Hall was the latest player to help try and steer this Southern Knights side up and over the try line. The Wolves players just crumbling, and the try awarded there to Harry Morris. So scoring since coming off the bench. And closing stages of the contest now, Knights 26, Wolves 54. So Stirling Wolves been involved in two of the highest scoring matches in the FOSROC Sprint Series, the history of the competition over a few seasons now. Glenn Bryce allowing the ball to bounce there as it's close towards the touchline, and just bounces in front of the main stand. Bob Nevins with the flag across on that far side is raised, and it will be a throw in almost directly opposite our camera operators in the position that they are in the main stand. There's a glimpse of maybe one or two rather glum Southern Knights spectators, and there'll be happier ones that have made their way from Stirling down for this Friday night fixture. Doesn't look the straightest of throws, but it's gathered at the back of the line there by Morris, and Knights again into Wolves territory, back through the hands of Wolfenden. Greenlaw has it once more up towards that 10-metre line, looking to try and offload. Tackle was made there by Callum Ferry, or at least he was able to slow up Greenlaw, as it's been won back now by Stirling Wolves, and away they go once more. They themselves looking for reinforcements. Davey, one of the second half try scorers, on towards Bryce. Big rangy right-footed boot on the ball there as it's gathered and played down by McVicker. Now a high up and under. He gives chase. Bryce plays it immediately on the volley with a foot. Gathered well there by Greenlaw. Very open game at the moment as Greenlaw's kick, and Davey's scampering after that. Players exerting a lot of energy at the moment as that's a left-footed kick there from Davey. and that bounces close towards halfway, but ended up in touch much closer towards the 22. But the Knights look to take a quick throw in, and again very quickly over the ball is Davidson on towards Wolfendine, mopped up the pass there on towards Greenlaw, thinks about his options, looks for the offload there. Adam Hall on his right shoulder. Now it's stolen, and Knights looking to try and continue forward, but the Knights are awarded the penalty as Wolves tried to steal.
Obviously, it's great to see, you know, we go back to your earlier point about these two sides, you know, wanting to play a bit of rugby. They're trying to keep it alive there. They put it back inside there to Big Alan Ferry, who I walked by him away in here, and he's an absolute mammoth of a man. And, you know, he just chucks himself into contact. But these Knights players, the Wolves players, are equally as physically impressive. But just from that penalty, just a little error creeping into the Knights game there, for getting that penalty for the offside, and then they've just kicked it dead. I think it's going to be really interesting, you know, in the coming months ahead, with how good the Super Series has been, in my opinion. The level of rugby, you know, where some of these players are next steps in their career path. Some young players coming through, some experienced heads as well that are helping nurture them. It's going to be a really interesting time. But certainly, you know, you're alluding to the fact that there's been some high-scoring games. It's entertaining stuff. It's really, really good rugby. And obviously, again, here, another high-scoring affair between these two sides. Wolves been able to put on a really impressive showing away from home against a Knight side that, you know, tends not to lie down anymore. It's certainly still up for the fight, so it shows you how impressive the Wolves have been tonight.
10 minutes of the game left to play. Wolves then on the attack. Bryce trying to split his way through the Knights' defence there. Referee, though, will bring play back. And again, the handling for the most part, and the lines that both sides have tried to run have been good, but on occasion both sides have been penalised. Passage of play, ball a little forward on occasion. Bryce was wrapped in the tackle there, the offload. The referee spotting that the pass towards Bryce was a shade forward, so comes back for a set play, and be an opportunity for Knights to get another score. But at this stage it is nothing more than consolation, Dale.
Yeah, you go back to your point about, you know, a couple of passes straying forward. You've got to live on the edge, and when Wolves are trying to puncture through this defensive line, you know, they're going to that close area, that close congested contact area, and trying to tip it on, and the pass has to be pinpoint to allow the player, you know, to get it at the right time. So if you delay your pass, he has to stray it forward, and that's what happened there with Bryce, just not able to, you know, get the ball in the right area from his distributor.
Davison taken on again by Grieve. Knights again looking to recycle ball. Still trying to make some inroads up towards the edge of the 22. The pick and go once more, and this time it's on towards Angus Runciman again, who's worked very hard in this contest. Back then towards Wolfendine, on there towards William Ferry, but another penalty awarded to Southern Knights, and it's not been a game that has had too much of that stop-start feel. It's been quite a free-flowing game, and with so many tries in the contest, the time has passed so quickly. It is hard to believe that we're inside the final 10 minutes, and what has been again an excellent advert for rugby at this level. Yeah,
I've always been quite a big advocate for this level, so I'll probably be boring myself if I praise it anymore. But you know, it's been another good game. It's not been too stop-start. I think you've got to also note who our match official is this evening as well. Adamson, I do feel, tends to let, you know, some decisions go, which is good, which you want in a game of rugby. It's very fair, but he allows the game of rugby to flow, which I think we've seen this evening.
Set play, ball tucked under the arm there of Harry Morris. He scored himself a try from his own line-out throw-in on the opposite side a little bit earlier on in the half. Taken on by Davidson. Again, Greenlaw with the decoy run. Loop pass out towards McVicker on that left-hand side. And again, Wolves were across very quickly to try and slow up the option for McVicker, who would have been darting towards that try line. And it's picked up again. Wolfendine mopping up at fly half and trying to exert a little more pressure inside the 22. Find Greenlaw on again. taken on by Adam Hall inside the 22. Having a little look just on the edge of the 22 at this time. It's a little chip kick which bounces just in front of the try line there. Bryce watching it all the way. The kick there from the scrum half, and it's eventually dotted down by Ewan Cunningham. But the chip kick there was an interesting option from the number 9, Callum Davison. And you can see that the option for Davison was just to try and get in behind the defence. Caused maybe a little bit of uncertainty from Glenn Bryce.
Okay, 22, let's
go. As you get to see Bryce again, he had a little look. Was able to take on Davidson, the offload, but eventually dotting down Ewan Cunningham, safety first. So inside the final 5.5 minutes of the contest. And a chance on now for the Southern Knights. Wolfendine just above head height there. A chance is on once again for Angus Runciman. Runciman still is going. Taken on there by the scrum half again. He's worked very hard during the course of the game, Davidson. He appears once more to feed the ball further towards that left-hand side. Wolfendine staying on his feet, spinning around, receiving the pass there from Callum Grieve. Again, Davidson working hard on that 10, but it's hard work for these Knights players to continue making inroads. Wolfendine tries this time, then he's forced backwards. 9:05 on a Friday evening, 4.5 minutes of the game left to play. Watching on there, again the scrum half mopping up, setting them on the way once more. Gamble trying to create a bit of room, taken on this time by Fantini, who's been a quieter figure in the second half. That's stripped from the possession, but kept up there by Civil, out towards the right hand side. And again, scrum half going in, but Davidson, just as the momentum of the attack again seems to drop and he can't get the ball away quickly enough. Davidson again, on they go in a more central position. Davidson over the ball this time just to try and hurry them forward, as Angus McGregor, the latest brought forward off the bench, he carries a few metres then. On McVicker, a more central position, phase after phase, with the advantage coming the way of Southern Knights. So they're trying to finish with a strong flurry here. Adam Hall on the attack, 5 metres short of the line. Recycle ball once more, goes loose. Referee will come back for the infringement because they had the penalty. So the Knights inside these final 3 minutes, finishing strong in this contest. And there is a glimpse of our player of the match this evening, Ryan Southern. Certainly was the architect of the second half try scored by Eric Davey, but scored 2 tries himself in the first half. Another very polished performance, and player of the match from the outside centre. So congratulations to him, and congratulations all round as well for both sets of players for a thoroughly entertaining contest that is almost at its conclusion. Inside the final 3 minutes, Dale, and it's been another high scoring contest.
It definitely has, and I think obviously Ryan Southern's contributed towards that. He obviously, you mentioned his, as a selfless offload that allowed Davey in for the try. He's had 2 tries in there as well, but just his persistent running those tight angles and being really, really committed. It keeps the defences, checked. It allows the space out wide. So, you perhaps think that, well, Ross McKnight got 2 tries as well, but, it's that work from the outside centre to keep that defence tight, keep it honest, which affords a little bit space out wide for, for the wingers to try and exploit. So certainly Davies a well-deserved player of the match this evening, but obviously Michelle, that Southern Knights physio on help, and one of the players who's taking a dull one, taking a little bit of treatment. Runciman still barking orders as well for the Knights, but Ryan Southern can take a little bit of a breather by the upright, because it's been another good performance from his team. A little laugh, a relaxed atmosphere within that camp, and it comes with a lot of confidence. So it's certainly something which they've been really benefiting from at Bridgeshaw in the last couple of seasons. Been growing and growing as a team. Obviously culminated in a successful kind of underdog performance in the championship at the culmination of last season, but you know, they're well deserved, and they've continued that momentum into this campaign. You see, it's another high scoring, you know, game, another high scoring performance, and you know, a lot of the points have gone there to Stirling Wolves. 54 points in any game of rugby away from home is impressive, especially against a Knights side who, you know, have been getting better week on week.
They've put the sides towards the low reaches of the table to the sword in recent times, but the Knights looking to try and finish as the ball again works its way back towards Harry Morris. Can he do what he did a second time? He was successful 10 minutes ago. Has he landed another score? The referee is just taking his time, but he's signalled the score is good, and it's another pushover score. And again, the pats in the back directed towards Harry Morris. His second try, almost a carbon copy of the earlier score in the second half. But again, you know, coming so close to the end of the contest. Morris with 2. Marcus Rhodes much earlier on in the game, the number 8 with a try. A try also for Callum Grieve and for Jack Dobie, the loose head prop. So 5 tries in all for Southern Knights. But when you look at Fergus Reid, Eric Davey with tries for Stirling Wolves. Tries also for the back row forward, Sean McDonald and Ed Hasdell. Ross McKnight's scored a couple of tries. Ryan Southern scored a couple of tries this evening. It's been free-flowing stuff, 8 in all for Stirling Wolves. But the last couple of verses just been written at the moment, and Callum Grieve may well now be adding the last points of this contest if he can kick 2 from the tee from out wide. Here he goes then. Plenty of purchase on the ball, and it's good. He'll be pleased with that effort. So it's now Southern Knights 33, Stirling Wolves 54, a minute left.
Yeah, I think there's 2 occasions. Ethan McVicker jumping in there. He's going to have to watch the left winger that he doesn't wake up tomorrow with cauliflower lugs. That's twice he's been involved in the driving maul. I don't know if he's been the difference maker, but great protection at the back there from, you know, coming in there. Adam Hall just able to just protect Morris there at the back of that, unintentionally, but he's been able to protect his hooker, who's done well to control that ball. But you know, I did say the Knights, you know, have certainly shaken away the fact that they've lain down in recent campaigns. They're certainly not a team that likes to lie down now, and certainly can mix it with the likes of Stirling Wolves.
Yeah, Alan Ferry winning possession of the ball there. So of course the bonus point secured by that first Harry Morris try. The second score, their 5th of the evening, and the conversion's taken them beyond the 30-point mark, but just not enough this evening for the Southern Knights. The high up and under, and they will come back for a penalty just on the edge of the halfway line inside the Knights half of the field. Broad smile on the face of the referee Mike Anderson. For the most part has kept it a very clean game. It's not been a tousy affair, an untidy or feisty affair. It's been good entertaining affair all round, it has to be said. And we're into now the closing stages, final few seconds of the contest.
Yeah, if you like watching young talented rugby players chuck the ball out on a Friday night on a dry surface, then you know it's been a good game, good advert for this level of rugby. But essentially what you said there about the bonus point in the bag for the Knights. Now, you know, in the context of the way that this campaign goes, the sprint goes, it could be a really important point in terms of, you know, where they're going to finish in the culmination of the final round of fixtures, to see what happens at Megatland tomorrow.
They've got a drive on here, and again you can just see the ball just in front of scrum half now, as once more the forwards just happy to carry on, bringing Greenlaw into the game once more. He lifts himself up off the deck, runs into the player of the match there, Ryan Southern. Greenlaw just on his knees with the offload. Knights continuing to go forward there. That's William Ferry trying to gain some ground towards the edge of the 22. The recycle ball again. Wolves just on the back foot at the moment. And once again, Callum Davidson on then towards the hard-working Alan Ferry. Still up towards the edge of the 22, almost 2 minutes beyond the 80-minute mark on our clock. The referee had a quick glance of the watch there as the ball works its way out towards the left-hand side. Little steal as Mikey Heron was just trying to interfere with play across on that far side and break up the rhythm of the Southern Knights move, but they'll come back to a more central position just outside of the 22. So from a central point, they're going to kick to hand, down again towards the policeman's corner.
Good slick hands there from the Knights, just in the build-up there, almost able to get Ethan McVicker some space. A lot of points tonight, you know, and it's looked easy at times for Wolves. So I feel like I've kind of seldom spoke about them because they've been so accurate when they've had the ball in hand. But you know, a lot of the time when the Knights have been getting the ball to McVicker, they've been giving it to him with a lot of work to do, not being able to create that space for him. And you know, testament to the Wolves for covering that space and the defence working hard.
Morris, again, he's got the control of the ball, and he's got eyes on that 5 metre line to begin with his scrum half in behind him. Fantini as well can perhaps be used. Fantini was protection there for the scrum half, and again jockeying for possession. Ball goes loose. Greenlaw was scampering after it, but the Wolves have managed to pick up on their own try line, and they'll look to try and clear. This could well be the conclusion of the game now, as again he spins round, pokes the ball into touch Ewan Cunningham, and that is the conclusion of a high scoring, thoroughly entertaining FOSROC Sprint Series contest here at the Greenyards. Congratulations all round to the efforts from both sets of players. Stirling Wolves making the journey down from Bridgehawk this Friday evening to win the game, you see, by 54 points to 33. Ryan Southern, the player of the match, with 2 first half tries. Ross McKnight scoring the opening try 3 minutes into the contest, added his second in the second half. Sean McDonald, who was on the score sheet last weekend, adding a try, as did Ed Hasdell, who scored right at the start of the second half. Tries for the Stirling Wolves players coming off the bench included a score from Fergus Reid and one from Eric Davey, made by the player of the match, Ryan Southern. But the response from Southern Knights was quite significant, particularly in that first half, scoring 3 tries before the break. Robbie Chalmers certainly at points played his part this evening as well. Callum Greaves scoring a try, Jack Dobie, but also on the score sheet Marcus Rhodes with their opening try, and 2 scores in the second half, both from the replacement hooker Harry Morris. There's a man who will be a delighted captain this evening, and they'll have eyes on the biggest prize of all, I would imagine, if they can win their playoff and perhaps be crowned Sprint Series champions.
Yeah, I think they've got to eye that up, because ultimately last season in the championship, Heriots were the pace setters. They almost looked like they were going to be kind of impregnable. They were really good in defence and had all the answers in attack, and then all of a sudden at Hawthorne Dent last year against last season against Stirling Wolves, they were able to turn things round and really snatch it away. And then they had the Bulls, again underdogs, so they were able to get the championship, and all of a sudden they find themselves with a little bit of a favourites tag now, and they seem to be coping with it well. And I think that's a testament to a really good side, a good team with a lot of confidence and a lot of good players in there.
So the Southern Knights players then forming a line, and Stirling Wolves, led by the skipper Marcus Holden, will head back into the changing rooms there. Be very happy indeed, and will feel confident at what is to come. Of course, Ayrshire Bulls in recent times have really set the standard at this level, and I mean, they're always up for a contest as they want to show their supremacy in recent times. But a Southern Knights team who were certainly one of the pick of the bunch and one of the best when the FOSROC competition began back in 2019-2020 have shown glimpses this evening of what this group of players can do. Let's have a look again at the scores. This was right at the start of the second half, and an excellent piece of play there from Ed Hasdell, showing a great turn of speed inside the opening 2 minutes of the second period to get the first try of the second half and open up a more handsome advantage, taking them beyond 30 points.
Yeah, good support and play there from Hasdell, but again, great work from Jackson. He gets the ball here, bounces back inside, lovely little offload out the right hand, and any young player watching that, just check Hasdell, change the ball position. And I always remember Richie Gray telling me that. He used to always run with the ball underneath my arm, and he was saying, just move it, you can't use that hand anymore, and Hasdell done a great job there, and then was involved in the link up to this try.
Yeah, and Holden with the pass out towards McKnight here, and it was a case of the round the corner style of run, because Jeremy Civil just couldn't stop him there. He was tracking across. Civil was hoping to try and use the touchline to good effect here, but McKnight just managed to get on the afterburners there into his running. He's one of these players that can, from almost a standing start, get into accelerated running very, very quickly. Powerful man to bring down, and that was his second try of the evening.
Yeah, he's the type of guy, when you look at him, you think he's going to physically bombard you and just go through you, but you know, he's got pace. Look at the legs start going there. He knows what he's going to do and does exactly the same. He's changing the ball into the right arm, making sure that the covering defence have got, you know, a challenge if they're going to try and bring him down, because you know, we've seen him over the last couple of seasons get better and better, you know, moved on and finds himself at Stirling Wolves, and he's playing impressively well now.
And so it continued, because they pick and go once more, and there was Southern, could well have been in for a try himself, unselfishly using the replacement scrum half Eric Davey off the bench, and Davey delighted to find this opportunity to finish things off. A one-on-one situation was opening up there, but didn't doing the right option or providing the right pass in the end, and Davey finishing things off.
And that was the end, you know, replay there doesn't show you that Harry Morris is getting set. It was a great challenge from Will Ferry, but they're getting set for the next passage of play. So when the ball squirms out, then it's open for David to get the score. But it's the travelling with the ball for this try which was really impressive. He stretches the field, goes along the halfway line. He's able to just entice the defence in enough to create that hole. You'll see it better here. You know, good solid scrum from the Wolves. He picks, he travels, he goes, he can't get across, so Wolfenden digs in. When he digs in, there's the hole. Bryce is through, an experienced fullback. He checks for his support, sees it on his shoulder, and Fergus Reid is there galloping up the inside and can gather the ball. But it's that little bit of movement from the scrum half, really impressive. You know, when you've got that pace off the base, then you know it's really difficult to defend.
Yeah, clean, neat and tidy stuff from Stirling Wolves, and how they were enjoying life there. But there was still to be further scores from Southern Knights, and you can see the determination of the aforementioned Harry Morris. The line out, the drive is on, and the referee signalling the score was good. Morris was kind of forced backwards there, but he was able to dig that left shoulder in, get the drive on. Reinforcements coming in, last of which was Adam Hall, and you can see that they've just toppled and crumbled over that try line. And there was something similar would happen about 10 minutes later, almost a carbon copy, resulting in Harry Morris finishing off once more. So again, an entertaining match, full of incident, full of the right kind of play. This is the second score. You'll be forgiven for thinking it's very similar to the first. Again, Adam Hall joining the drive. There was the acceleration, and there's the score to complete an evening of tries.
It was Ethan McVicker, number 14. You'll see him joining there. I've never seen a back so enthusiastic in my life joining a driving maul. But it was, again, it's just good work. That's good work from the training ground, from you know the likes of James Head at the Southern Knights, to make sure that when they bring down that ball, they get it set. They're trying to target that weak spot, and almost there wasn't one in the Wolves' defence. But it was a real attritional try, being able just to nudge their way over the line, and just it's just a bit of brawn, really, more than anything else.
So 13 tries in all, and Melrose settles down for another Friday evening after a thoroughly entertaining contest. So the Knights picking up a try bonus point this evening to go level on points with the Boroughmuir Bears, who of course are in action tomorrow. Stirling Wolves sit top of the table, 4 points clear off the Ayrshire Bulls. The Wolves in front of the Bulls, and of course Heritage Rugby on 17 points mid-table alongside Watsonians. So quite a gap, and you can see the three most dominant sides in this Sprint Series competition leading the way, and a nice geographical split, has to be said.
Yes, it definitely is, and I think it does. I was under the illusion that the Knights maybe it snuck ahead of Watsonians and Boroughmuir in the table ahead of that clash at Meggetland tomorrow. But it makes it interesting ahead of this weekend, because yes, it's a geographical split, but it's certainly a split in class as well. The amount of points that the teams above have accumulated is pretty impressive, but the Wolves again just managing to march on.
So there we are tomorrow, Heritage Rugby up against Ayrshire Bulls, 3 p.m, and also Watsonians against Boroughmuir Bears. Now that game, I believe, is at Meggetland, although it is treated as a home game for Watsonians, because Myerside, I think, has been used for other sporting events as is often the case after Easter time.
Yeah, and in the words of Nicky Walker, he said, "No, we're away from home. We're at Meggetland." So although it's listed, it's it's definitely a home tie for Boroughmuir Bears. But the way that the fixtures are, then it's guised as a home tie. But it's going to be interesting. I think what's shown is Boroughmuir shown glimpses, but just not being able to, in a sprint, just not being able to get up and running.
Yeah, tonight's sprint contest bringing 13 tries in all. There's a man who scored 2 of them, our player of the match, Ryan Southern, receiving the medal from his skipper there, Marcus Holden, who had a near perfect night with the boot. They'll enjoy themselves as they head off the pitch here at the Greenyards. And congratulations to Stirling Wolves after a convincing victory here at the Greenyards this evening. From myself and from Dale, thank you very much for watching.